11월 22일자 뉴욕타임즈입니다. Many West Bank Palestinians are being forced out of their villages. Is my family next? In my village and in others around us, settlers have been raiding homes and harassing us relentlessly, sometimes multiple times a day. Sometimes it's been much less subtle. In November 1999, when I was a year old, the Israeli military loaded all of Tubas residents and the livestock onto trucks and dumped us on the side of the road several miles away. We spent the following months crowded in makeshift tents, fighting to shelter ourselves and our livestock from the cold winter rain. We were eventually allowed to return to our village temporarily, pending a final court decision. The formidable Rosalynn Carter, the senior White House staff, often wished the First Lady had more influence. I saw Rosalynn Carter angry only twice. Both occasions involved Ronald Reagan, who had crushed Jimmy Carter in the 1980 election, and both reflected her passion and decency. Although each agreed that the secret to a long, happy marriage was to spend some time apart, they did almost everything together, from learning to read the Bible in Spanish before bed to dodging gunfire in Africa after the presidency and fly fishing in Siberia when he was 90 and she was 88. 서서 구부려서 읽으려니까. Airing their despair on TikTok, Biden seeks to promote the better economic news, but it's a different story online. It's this tug of war that millennials and Gen Z are facing right now. Look at America's economic data, and you'd think that young voters would be riding high right now. Unemployment remains low, job opportunities are plentiful, inequality is down. Wage growth is finally beating inflation, and the economy had expanded rapidly this year. Look at TikTok, and you get a very different impression, one that seems more in line with both consumer confidence data and President Biden's performance in political polls. Several of the economy-related trends getting traction on TikTok are downright dire. The term silent depression recently led to a spate of viral videos. Clips critical of capitalism are common. On Instagram, jokes about poor housing affordability are a genre unto themselves. Media chip the Sabbath's personal connection. It never seemed to occur to Christ that his own friendship with David might not protect him. The fallout at OpenAI and the loss of a founder. The drama over Sam Altman's ouster is an extreme case of an old concern in business. People are going to be talking about the blow up at OpenAI for years. ChatGPT itself, a product of OpenAI, could not have concocted a tale as wild as the one that unfolded over the weekend. OpenAI's board of directors fired a co-founder, Sam Altman, as chief executive officer on Friday, saying he was not consistently candid in his communication with the board. On Sunday, the board rejected pressure to take Mr. Altman back. Hours later, Microsoft announced it was hiring him and Greg Brownman, another founder, to lead a new advanced AI research team. Not a way to help depressed teenagers. Large-scale light touch intervention have backfired. These results are striking but not that unique. Last year, an even larger study of a school-based Mind Police program, which looked at more than 1,000 British teenagers in more than 80 schools, found that the program did not improve mental health and in fact led to worse anxiety and emotional problems, plus lower levels of mind police skills. Yet another study published last year, which included some 2,500 Australian teenagers, also found that a mental health program made students more distressed. Why are Jewish leaders praising Elon Musk? Ardent Zionism cannot be allowed to function as an alibi for anti-Semitism. Then Elon Musk, the owner of X and one of the richest men in the world, chimed in, responding, "You have said the actual truth." CNN turmoil has loosened shattered friendship. Parent company's chief isn't sentimental about severing his closest ties. "We've been friends for 15 years. We are not friends anymore. You worked for me." Yeah, but even before the deal closed, Mr. Hadji was contemplating option for replacing him. Mr. Zucker was widely viewed inside the CNN, which he had led since 2013, as unlikely to steer it in the direction desired by Mr. Zaslav, who thought the network had become too partisan and anti-Trump. Microsoft flexed its industry muscle. Sam Altman snapped up quickly by big partner after AI board drops him. Just 2 weeks ago, Microsoft's Satya stood on stage next to OpenAI's Sam Altman at the Startups Conference in a former concert hall in San Francisco. Both wore black jeans, Mr. Altman in an army green shirt and Mr. Nadella in navy casual. "We love you guys," Mr. Nadella said as he turned to Mr. Altman. Mr. Altman responded. Mr. Altman has called OpenAI's relationship with Microsoft the best bromance in tech. Since 2019, the companies have worked together to build advanced artificial intelligence system that they believe could be the most important tech innovation in a generation. And Microsoft has invested $13 billion in OpenAI. Together, they planned to take on Google's Hammerlock on the internet. He'd set to tap AI's at the brakes. OpenAI's interim chief had spoken open about the technology's risk. And Emmett Shear, the former chief executive of the live streaming site Twitch, was named the interim chief executive of OpenAI on Sunday night. He might have seemed a curious choice. After graduating from college in 2005, he spent nearly his entire career at Twitch, the Amazon-owned platform popular among video game players, as it grew from a fledgling site called Justin.tv to a behemoth with more than 30 million daily viewers before leaving this year. In a desert landscape, a rare lake comes alive. Visitors to Death Valley in California are drawn by the unusual body of water. All the climate change models say that this area of the country is expected to have more frequent large storms. Park officials said the recent week-long closure underscored the necessity of adapting to a future in which the weather is ever more extreme and less predictable. Driverless taxis are placing an extra burden on cities. Around 2 a.m. on March 19th, Adam, a San Francisco firefighter on duty, received a 911 call and raced to the city's Mission neighborhood to help a male who was having a medical emergency. After he had loaded the patient into an ambulance, a black and white car pulled up and blocked the path. It was a driverless vehicle operated by Waymo, an autonomous car company owned by Google's parent, Alphabet, with no human driver to instruct it to move out of the way. Mr. Wood spoke through a device in the car to a remote operator who said someone would come to take the vehicle away. Will my family be forced out too? Since I can remember, life in Tuba has been difficult, but it has also always been full of beauty and calm. OpenAI and loss of a founder. Amazingly, Microsoft, which had invested more than $13 billion in OpenAI, learned of Mr. Altman's exit only 1 minute before it was announced. The Times reported, in the end, Microsoft money talked when CEO Satya brought Mr. Altman and Mr. Brockman on board. A formidable U.S. First Lady. In 1980, Mrs. Carter thought her husband was seemingly pompous in explaining why he wouldn't make politically expedient decisions. As she recounted in a memoir, he would say something like, "I'll never do anything to hurt my country." And she'd replied, "The thing you can do to hurt your country most is not get re-elected." Why Google paid billions for Apple to change a single setting. Data brokers should not be allowed to amass information about people unless they first get explicit permission. There need to be a stronger guardrails, including for data that is legitimately collected. The default should be the most restrictive setting with additional protection. For example, companies should have expiration date for how long they can hold the data needed for a particular service, limiting the data use to that service. limiting the data used to that service alone, with explicit consequences required for different use. Trump's dire words raised fears about his plans. Dehumanizing language toward his rivals echoed the strongmen of the past. No limit to the anger and the hatred in his rhetoric, and this kind of poisonous atmosphere has lowered our standards. But now, in his third presidential bid, some of his most vicious and debasing attacks have been labeled at domestic opponents. The model for the modern activist first lady. It was a time in the country of a profound change for women, and she wanted to seize the opportunities before her. A battlefield as broad as the cosmos. Highly secretive branch of U.S. military guards, American interest aloft. An unusual aspect of space as an arena is debris. If a satellite is smashed, should remain in orbit, a constant hazard. A world without the orbital weather surveys seems unsinkable. Modern life relies on space technologies to an extent that an interruption would create profound economic and social distress. Alonso isn't coming to save your team, not yet. He's already the favorite to replace Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid, but he's in no great hurry. Maybe I could do all three. Alonso said that with June. He was joking, of course. He has been around long enough to know that he had to clarify that his mind is 100% at Leverkusen. The violence goes on and on. It is necessary for us to have an advantage in everything. Then a breakthrough is possible. Ukrainian singer on Russia's wanted list. Jamala won the Eurovision Song Contest in 2016 with a song dedicated to the Crimean Tatars who were deported in the 1940s after they were accused of cooperating with Nazi Germany. Families of hostages plead for some news. Hamas has not provided information or proof of life for nearly 240 held in Gaza. Go get the Pope. Go get the rabbis. Go get imams. Don't take no for an answer. Shame on you for taking no for an answer. The deadly red tape of an occupation. We see bits of life that often get muted by the Manichaean lens through which the conflict between Israel and Palestine is often perceived. A failed marriage, drug-dealing neighbors, and personal rivalries. Now for something completely similar, a Broadway's revival of the Spamalot musical preserves the mayhem. Even the coconuts get entrance and applause. A president who doesn't want the government. Javier Milei won election in Argentina after pushing radical economic policies. Most of these proposals will still be talked about, but it will be hard to implement them in the first year. Dilemma for Britain's leader when to call the election. Once the election is underway, everything is on the table. You lose control of the agenda. Now for something completely similar. A Broadway revival of the Spamalot musical preserves the mayhem. Even the coconuts get entrance at the approach. The deadly red tape of an occupation. We see bits of life that often get muted by the Manichaean lens through which the conflict between Israel and Palestine is often perceived, of failed marriage, drug-dealing neighbors, and personal rivalries. An invitation to rethink the history. A MET show explore Africa's influence on the Byzantine world. The method show introduced a useful check on this textbook account by introducing Africa as a prominent player. 5 supporting stars for the feast. Add this mixture to the shallots and bring to the boil. Struggling to find a job in South Africa. E.P. Holmes said that Miss Stafford watching her father sweep his workshop is very bad. Young content creator search for a new online niche. Which pulled in more than $1 billion at the box office, featured the patriarchy as its villain. Young content creators search for a new online niche. New wave of feminists seeking an online niche, and of bloggers like the Jezebel had some content creators desiring closer connection. The recent closing of Jezebel, which shortly after its 2007 debut surpassed 10 million monthly views and later overtook its sibling site, Gawker.com, served as a fresh reminder to young writers like the Ms. App about how much things have changed. The other feminist site she used to read have closed too. A desperate search for the work. Johannesburg, South Africa's young have trained for jobs that haven't materialized. They wanted no, they demanded the jobs. The violence never ends in Ukraine's stalemate. Their front lines may be static, but bodies keep piling up in relentless onslaughts. But the Russian attacks keep coming, and the Ukrainian soldiers too are suffering gruesome injuries. Why Google paid billions for a setting? Got all that I did, and changed my settings too, as I had also been in the dark. The bigger problem is not the sometimes ridiculous difficulty of opting out. It's that consumers often aren't even aware of what their settings allow, or what it all means. If they were truly informed and actively choosing among the available options, the default setting would matter little and be of little to no value. But companies expect the users to accept what they are given, not know their option, or not have the constant vigilance required to keep track of the